What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Abil Mahari here, representing the podcast, officially called as MehariNation Sports Podcast here on a Friday night in the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Salute to the entire LDBC. And today is the debut episode of Basketball Conversations. This is where I talk about all the recent news around basketball, all the history, stats, greatest moments, you name it. You know what I mean? We're gonna have loads of fun here tonight. You get what I'm saying? Now, just give me 1 second here. Make sure that I send out this text real quick. All right, there we go. So, we're going to start talking about today what's been going on around the news in relation to the DeMarcus Cousins situation. Now, for those of y'all who just tuning in, for those of y'all who don't know, DeMarcus Cousins has been recently been sent a warrant for his arrest for making a threat to one of his ex girlfriends. Okay, now the story is that DeMarcus Cousins wanted to bring his son to his wedding. Okay, to his new girl. Okay, now the baby mama said no, and basically DeMarcus Cousins kept asking her a couple of times, "Listen, I'm not gonna ask you again." All right. And then after that, he said, "I'm going to put a bullet in your bleeping head." All right. While she was recording the entire conversation, and the videotape got leaked through TMZ. So right now, DeMarcus Cousins is going through a lot of stress at the moment. All right. What's up, Shakita? How you doing, sister? She said, "I heard it too." She wouldn't allow him because she was just jealous. Yep. I'm going to get into that in a second here. Now, one of the things that has been compelling to me about this story is that she recorded the conversation without his consent, because I researched about this earlier today. You get what I'm saying? Now, let me read to you guys something about Alabama state law in terms of phone conversations. Okay, make sure I get this out here. Okay, so in regards to a phone conversation in the state of Alabama, according to Law Code 13A-11-30, the state requires consent from one party to allow a recorded phone conversation. However, any illegal recording without proved consent is considered a misdemeanor, which means that it could be classified as a Class A misdemeanor. Now, you know what I'm saying? The thing is this: there's no question that DeMarcus Cousins messed up here. He allowed his emotions to get in the way, and as a result, he's going through a lot of stress and a lot of stuff right now. But the thing is this: if you're DeMarcus Cousins' legal team, it's going to be the onus on him to prove that she had no consent to record that kind of conversation. All right. That's the key thing in this whole thing here. The only way that DeMarcus Cousins can possibly get this whole situation dropped is that he could prove that the entire conversation was, out of context and out of anger. And I do believe it was out of anger. Of course it is. But DeMarcus should have been smart enough to know not to say this kind of stuff, because in an area of social media, everything is recorded. Everything gets taped. You know what I'm saying? People can take your words out of context, and so DeMarcus Cousins should have been smart enough to know not to get involved in that kind of stuff. You get what I'm saying? But at the same time, the baby mama did this out of jealousy because she wasn't going to be married to the man, and now, and also salute to Ticket TV for this too. Another twist to the story is the new wife is allegedly pregnant too, and carrying his child as well. So things are looking real bad right now. Plus, considering that he's going to be out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL, he just came back from the torn quad. He just came back from the Achilles tendon injury, and he's lost over $400 million due to those injuries. Now, the bottom line is this: this is really a bad time for DeMarcus Cousins. And what she say? She says he wouldn't have known. This chick is the baby mama. He didn't think she would stoop this low. Now we have a motive. Yep. You know how that is. I'm telling you, these women will do some evil things. You know what I mean? To really hurt the man. But he should have known, one, who is he dealing with, and two, he should have kept his emotions in check, even if he was so heated in the moment. You get what I'm saying? But still, there is flat out no excuse to what DeMarcus Cousins did. But at the same time, if he could prove that the baby mama was trying to produce any malice, then the bottom line is this could turn out bad for both sides, and specifically towards the woman too. You know what I mean? I've been through this with my brothers and uncle. Oh wow, boy, I feel sorry for you, Shakita. I've been through this with my father too. You know, we people lose the people will lose their emotions a lot. But the big thing is you have to be careful about the things you say, specifically for a guy that has had the reputation as having emotional outbursts. Now that this whole story came out, this is going to look real bad. I'm going to tell you all. So we're going to see what's going to happen from here on in. But I wanted to give, my 2 cents on the whole situation, though, because it's really a messed up situation. Shakira says, nothing ass females, I can't stand them. Yeah, I feel you. I can't stand them neither, especially when they try to twist and bend things all the time. You know what I mean? For their sick pleasure. I hate that. I really do. Now, I also wanted to talk about the Carmelo Anthony situation. Okay. Now, it's been going around lately that there's been speculation that Carmelo Anthony could possibly sign with the Brooklyn Nets. I know that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving have been vouching for Kevin Durant, to come play for the Brooklyn Nets. Depending on if they can try to fit it through their salary cap. What I'm saying. Um, the way I look at it is this: I see it really as a huge opportunity for the Brooklyn Nets to really get something, some scoring punch for them. Because especially with Kevin Durant going to be out for the whole year with the Achilles injury, this could be a perfect opportunity for Carmelo Anthony to, prove once again that he's still got it. And everyone knows that he still score. Okay. You know what I mean? I think it's just really that it's unfair that all that political stuff behind the scenes is really forcing Melo to be blackballed out of the league unfairly, it seems, and he rarely has any controversy to himself. It feels like the whole analytics movement thing has been really hurting the reputation of basketball in a way. All right, that all these these numbers guys, these mathematician type of guys who come into this sport thinking that they can try to win a championship through stats and numbers instead of watching what they see on the court. I'm sorry, bro. I haven't seen it win a championship. And it's not like to say that analytics is bad. I'm just saying that, that that whole the whole analytics movement thing has been really pushed heavy to me. And it's like, bro, do you really rely on analytics a lot to see what a player can do on the floor? Does it really force to you to see that that James Harden shouldn't be shooting step back 3 pointers, fading away threes from near the center of the court. You know, it's crazy, man. But I'm hoping to see that you know that something that's Melo could have another chance to redeem redeem himself. Good evening, Duke. How you doing, my friend? Thanks for coming in. And y'all smash that like button too. Let's get them likes up there, y'all guys. So I also checked out a video today through Pro Basketball Updates. Salute to Tiki TV. Y'all make sure to check out Pro Basketball Updates on YouTube as well. Melo's getting slimmer. He's losing weight. He's getting healthier now. And when he gets signed to another team, he's gonna go out and try to prove himself again. Now, there's no reason why a first ballot Hall of Famer should not have a job in the league. All right. This guy has proven time and time again that he's one of the best scorers in the history of the game. All right. All this stuff about, oh, he can't play defense or anything like that. Let me ask you all this. How many players in the league actually play defense? Okay. And excuse me. Think about this for a moment. How many players can you think of off the top of your head right now? Think of a lot of players in the NBA that actually play defense. If you take away Butler, Gobert, Beverly, Leonard, okay, take away those players? How many actual players right now actually play defense in a league where they take away hand checking, zone defenses, physicality away? Think about it. Who actually plays defense? If you really, really think about it. All right. I want you all to think about that. All right. I can tell you this. I can tell you this off the rip. Not many players in the NBA play defense because the league has done a tremendous job of taking away all the requirements of defense. Physicality, hand checking, zone defenses. With that old illegal defense rule where you got to, when you basically are, you can't double team a zone, you actually go out and commit a double team. That's where it's coming from. Okay. Now, I don't want to hear this whole conversation about, oh, Melo doesn't play no defense. Okay. You have to check out my cousin. Who's your cousin, Shakita? Uh, le- yeah, yeah, what's his name? Just let me know about that. But let me get back to what I'm saying. Okay, listen, the game right now is offensive friendly. Okay, Melo is a perfect person that can get you instant buckets right away. He can give you 15, 20 points a game at this current stage. Okay, in his prime, he can give you 25, 30 points a night. Easy work. But the thing is, I don't want to hear any more of this talk about, oh, Melo don't play no defense. He washed up. Really? All right. Do you really want to go there? Really? So you mean to tell me that 100 players in the NBA today are better than Carmelo Anthony? Not the stars. Not the stars, okay? Not the superstars. I'm talking about under 100 original players. Sir Isaac from Houston. He posted a video about him, Jim. Oh, okay. I'll have to go check him out after this live stream is over. Okay, Shakita. I'll go check him out. Sir Isaac from Houston. Okay. I'll make sure to check him out. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do that right now. Why not? Since we got some time to check out some time here. Sir Ice. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh, okay. 5'10", and he can really sky. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, the guy's got hops, considering that he's only 5'10". That's a lot of leg strength and explosiveness. Yeah, salute to Sir Isaac, Shakita. Hope just keep putting in that work and he'll go a lot of places. I like Duke said he played isolation ball. So does a lot of other players in the NBA. Curry plays ISO ball. Durant plays ISO ball. Even LeBron James. So this whole notion that, oh, Melo plays only isolation basketball is complete nonsense. All right. Melo belongs in a group of great players in this league. And you mean to tell me that he doesn't deserve an opportunity to get a job in the NBA? I think it's just completely asinine to me. You know what I mean? So At the end of the day, Melo deserves a chance to either play in the NBA. Now, the teams that I would highly think he would play for, the Nets could be one. Um, the Lakers, if they could create a roster spot for him. Um, I think he would work well for the Portland Trailblazers to be another scoring option besides the dominant backcourt of C.J. McCollum and uh, Damian Lillard. Yes, and then also the Philadelphia could be a great place too. If you have him with Ben Simmons improving that jumper, and I'm gonna get into Ben Simmons in a moment here, man, the Sixers could probably go to places too. So that's what I kind of see about that. Um, that's what I feel about the Melo thing. Now, I also been checking out Ben Simmons' production. You know, uh, he's been putting in a lot of work to fix his jump shot. You feel me? Now, the one thing that I'm hoping for is that he can develop a consistent jump shot to where he can basically pull up and set you up. If he can hit 30 to 40% of his shots, specifically from long range and from mid range, his game is going to be at a different level. All right. Duke said the league wants him to retire. I don't think so. I don't think he's ready to retire. I think he's still got plenty more left in the tank than people realize. I think it just comes down to it comes down to politics behind the scenes. And I think more and you know what? In my opinion, I think Darren Moore has a lot to do with why Carmelo's being blackballed too. All right. Yep, they have to play that iso ball when the player when they have a player 1-on-1. It's the name of the game. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Shakita. Thank you. See, when you have a mismatch, particularly on any spot on the floor, you have to go to it. You're not just going to play that whole 5-out offense, whatever, that kind of thing. Like, bro, let's cut to the chase. Okay? If if you got a mismatch at anywhere on the floor, you got to take advantage of that. And Melo is that perfect person that can actually do that. He can basically post you up. He can shoot the mid-range jumper. He can shoot the three ball, and he can get to the free throw line too. All right, he's a perfect complementary player at this point. Okay, now I'm gonna get back to the Ben Simmons conversation. I really believe that Ben Simmons can't basically never learned how to shoot a basketball. And I think he's shooting with the wrong hand because I think he's more natural right-handed than he is left-handed. Like I I sometimes don't understand why, players who are developing their skills and are basically developing their athleticism never learn how to contribute with a decent jump shot. All right. If you're gonna go anywhere in the NBA, you have to have a jump shot worth consistently to try to make the defenses, commit to you and respect you. All right. Now, Ben Simmons is very explosive in his own way. He can basically penetrate. He could basically, set you up for a 3-point shot, and he could basically make guys better. But the big thing is during playoff time, teams kept falling back, and basically daring him to shoot the basketball. Now, if he can hit maybe 6 or 7 out of 10 of his jump shots, his game is going to go at a different level. All right. Guys like, Ben Simmons and Giannis of the world and others, if they can continue to improve their jump shots and develop it more consistently, I really believe that we're going to see them at a different level. All right. You get what I'm saying? So I'm glad to see that Ben Simmons is working on that jump shot to making sure that jump shot gets more improved. But he's gonna have to continue to perfect it better if he's gonna try to lead the Sixers to possibly a championship. And based on what the Eastern Conference looks right now, when the Nets get healthy soon enough, when Durant gets back, they're gonna be the team to beat in the East. You watch what I tell you. But for this upcoming season, it's wide open. All right, the West is always gonna be loaded. I think the Golden State Warriors are actually gonna go to try to prove a point that they can still win even without, Klay Thompson, and I think Draymond Green is going to have to start, stepping up his play more than ever. Besides just, playmaking, probably score a bit more, and also keep his emotions in check. That's the big thing that I'll be looking for when the season starts. All right. So I think that, to me, I'm going to get into the Eastern Conference for a little bit. All right. So the East right now, to me, is basically wide open. All right. We know the Raptors ain't gonna win another title for probably till another century. All right. No, it's no disrespect to the Raptor fans, but I think that the East right now, the two teams that I could see him coming, that I could possibly see him coming out of the East, the Bucks and maybe the 76ers, barring how the Sixers can stay healthy and if Ben Simmons can get that shot together. Okay. Now, those teams, I can see them coming out of the East. Okay. Now, the big wild card in this is going to be the Brooklyn Nets. Okay. The Nets were already a good team and previously made the playoffs. Now, if they could get Carmelo Anthony, if that's possible, then I think that they could be. Then I think they could go places. And when Durant gets healthy by the next season, I'm telling you, the Nets are gonna be going to places. Y'all know what time it is. All right. Now, my sleeper team to look for would be the Indiana Pacers. I'm telling you, especially when Victor Oladipo come back from injury, if they can actually continue to improve on what they did from last season, they could be a sleeper team. And they signed Malcolm Brogdon, okay, from the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, the issue with Malcolm Brogdon is, can he stay healthy? He's the last few seasons he's been battling, foot injuries, knee injuries, and he's been missing a lot of time. But if he can stay healthy and produce, I think he could be a really good addition in that backcourt, along with Victor Oladipo too. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that. Okay. Now, let me get into the Western Conference talk. All right. Now, we already know that the Clippers got the big prizes this offseason: Paul George and DeAndre Jordan. The Rockets got Russell Westbrook to team up with James Harden. That's going to be a very electric backcourt. Okay. Now, if you ask me which tandem I would take, I'm going to take Kawhi Leonard and Paul George over Russell Westbrook and James Harden. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because Kawhi Leonard has shown that he can play off the basketball, and he can basically set up his own shot and probably set up a shot for others too. Same for Paul George. The one thing I'm concerned about with the Rockets is this: how those two guys are going to work together. Okay, one of them is going to have to learn to play without the ball because they're both ball dominant players. I watched enough games to know that both these guys need the basketball to produce. Okay, the big concern I have is how those guys are going to find a way to share the basketball and share the scoring load with each other, okay? And not try to steal shots from each other or try to isolate from their teammates, all right? Now, we already know that Mike D'Antoni is a really great regular season coach. Keyword, great regular season coach. But when it comes to playoffs, forget it, bro. Forget it. That whole isolation, dribble, step back, 3-pointer, that don't work in the playoffs. You've seen it in the last 2 years, especially in last year's playoffs when the Rockets had a chance to force a game 7 against the Golden State Warriors in the second round. Once again, they lay out the goal. Of they basically laid out a choke job, and unfortunately, Chris Paul, basically said it's either me or James Harden, and unfortunately, he wasn't going to win that debate. So the Rockets are going to be top 3 in my view. I know the Lakers are going to be in the mix though as well. You know what I'm saying? I know the Lakers are going to be really be interesting to me. See, the Lakers to me are under more pressure than any other teams in the West. Okay, LeBron, missed a lot of time due to injury, and Anthony Davis has not been a guy that has proven to stay healthy for a majority of the season. Now, the narrative that surrounds LeBron James. All right, When you're basically teamed up with LeBron James, you get little to no credit when the team's doing well, but you get the majority of the blame when the team struggles. Okay? Don Dada, what's going on, brother? He said, up in here, and we talking basketball, man. Salute to Abel Bahari. Houston needs to play 4 and 5 to play big. To play big. You know that Dan Tony prefers a small lineup. So, you know, I really hope they can keep PJ Tucker happy. Because if if they I know PJ Tucker isn't worth that big money, but they're gonna have to find a way to keep him happy. Because he's your only optional big at this point. You know, Nene is old. He's basically on his last legs. Clint Capella, he's been proven, but he doesn't show up in big moments. All right. Shakita says interesting, but all the teams that signed any of my blue, any that signed any of my Blue Devils, I'm watching. Okay, I feel you on that, Miss Duke fan. I can't wait for Zion Williamson to start his NBA career. Really, oh man. If when Zion Williamson gets his jump shot together, it's over. Because the guy can literally just, drop to go the length of the floor and then throw it down with force. And do you want to get it away when he's coming through? I don't think so. Zion Williamson, barring if he can stay healthy, he's going to be probably a top 5 player in this league. All right. Okay. So let me get back into the whole Western Conference talk. I think the big sleeper teams for me will be. I think the Denver Nuggets could possibly be a top seed in regular season, but we know what's going to happen to them in the playoffs. I think they could possibly do it. I think they're going to probably come out next year. I'm saying this season to prove that their success in the season was not a one-time fluke. That they are actually indeed a legit contender in the West. All right. Shakita is referring to the Rockets. Yep, ball hogs and only care about their stats. Well, they're gonna have to find a way to work this out if they're gonna go anywhere. Now, if you're asking about Russell and James Harden when they were in OKC, probably that would have worked better because James Harden accepted their 6-man role. But just like in every other great team that had their downfalls, they just refused to give the money to James Harden and traded him to Houston. And now you got this. Okay. So I think the Denver Nuggets are going to be really make a surprise this year to prove that they are a contender in the West. I know the Portland Trailblazers, the Blazers to me are a scary team to me because they signed Hassan Whiteside, which means let me check. What was that? What was that power forward's name for the Portland Trailblazers? Portland Blazers. Hold on. Hold on 1 second here. The guy that had that knee injury that ended his season. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Yep. Joseph Nugurcic, the Bosnian center. Okay. So now that they brought in Hassan Whiteside onto the team, so now Hassan Whiteside can play his natural position of center, and then Nurkic can now play the power forward position and probably could take a little bit more less off of his knees, though, too. All right. So I think Portland is going to be one of those sleeper teams. Utah will be as well. I think Portland could probably make some noise in this year's playoffs. Now they got a good young core with Rodney Hood, El Aminu. Oh no, oh yeah, he's not on the team anymore. Oh, okay, so yeah, I think that this team with now that they've got Paul Gasol there too for experience, I think the Portland Trailblazers could probably make a run this year in the playoffs. I think it could be possible too, barring if they can probably get their postseason jinx out of the way. I think they could probably go to places. You know what I'm saying? No. Let me just take a sec. Let me just send out a text real quick. All right, there you go. So I think to me, the top seed for me this regular season has got to be either the Clippers or the Nuggets or the Blazers. To me, I just don't see the Lake. I think the Lakers could be in the top three conversation, but if you ask me, do they are the Lakers our top seed to me? They gotta prove it. Oh, you bags. You gotta prove it. So all right, let's add Curtis Anderson into the building here. Uh, all right, there we go. What's going on, Mr. Curtis Anderson, the OG? What's going on, my friend?
Hey, what's going on, man? I was backstage for 15 minutes.
Uh,
you
I'm
know, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I've been on the show, but hey, man, I've been listening. You talk basketball, and you're a basketball guy as well as I am.
mhm.
So it's great to be on the show. How you doing, Abel?
Oh man, just chilling on a Friday night though, bro. This is actually going to be my first consistent episode called Basketball Conversation. So we're going to talk about basketball history and everything else. I was actually talking about the Western Conference and how it looks right now. So how do you see the West this year, Curtis?
It's going to be a very interesting year. It's more like a transition year with all the free agency, and I see Golden State taking a backward step. They don't have that chokehold on the Western Conference that they had in years, last what, 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Clippers emerging. You have the Houston Rockets. The Rockets been winning, but their style of basketball doesn't resonate in the playoffs, even though they should have beat Golden State that year. They have to play better team defense. The Clippers is going to be much improved. The Lakers, we don't know. That's the biggest mystery. They have a big question mark. They can be great and be surprisingly good, or they could be a disappointment. Basketball is all about chemistry, man. You have to have great chemistry. And the Western Conference it's always the better conference, but this year, Abel in chat, it's a lot of mystery surrounding the teams that's in the upper echelon of the conference. Portland will be a dark horse. Look out for Denver, then Denver Nuggets. But you have a lot of unanswered questions. I'm not sure about the Lakers. That seems to be the sexy pick, the Lakers. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have to wait and see. This year, it's going to be very, very interesting. I can't wait for the NBA.
Okay. How do you see the Eastern Conference?
I like Milwaukee. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I like Philadelphia, but for some reason, man, I don't trust them. Ben Simmons has the talent to really be an A1 player. He has to develop a jump shot, mid-range game. He could facilitate. We all know that. But I still favor Milwaukee. Boston is there. They may take a step back. I got a funny feeling they're going to take a step back. So I like probably Milwaukee to come out the East.
Okay, how about the Brooklyn? How about the Brooklyn Nets? Despite the fact, here's what I'm saying though, too, Curtis. And if the Reds Nets decide, okay, we're gonna give Carmelo Anthony a chance. Do you think that kind of puts the Nets over the hump, or do you think it's gonna probably be a key piece to the puzzle?
It'd be a key piece of the puzzle. They are a player away if Durant is healthy, and if they get a spark somewhere and make a trade. They don't have to be, a great player, but a decent player. Um, People are excited about Durant coming to the Nets, but he has to play. He has that injury, so you have to wait and see how he comes back.
Mhm.
That's a major, major, major injury, man. It's no joke. But I think Nets is going to have a very good year. They surprised people last year. I think they're going to have a good year. Maybe 20 games over 500. So they may be. I would say out of the 8 teams that make the playoff, I would say maybe 4 or 5,
Mhm.
or even better.
All right. Okay. Don Dada says, will the Spurs make the playoffs this year? I'll answer that question first, and then Curtis can answer it next. So here's my thing about the Spurs. The Spurs to me have been always been the role model of consistency, because they always relied on that same system with through Greg Popovich. But I think because of the overwhelming talent this year, I think is they're going to be fighting for that last playoff spot. And here's the other thing too. And Don Dada said Kings or Timberwolves. The Sacramento Kings, keep an eye on that team. They have a really good young team. And let me tell you something. People don't know who De'Aaron Fox is. I'm telling you right now, De'Aaron Fox is going to be he's going to be a future beast in the making. This guy, he's a very quick point guard, can finish very well. His jump shot's improving, and his decision making is getting improved. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I think that the Kings could probably make a push for the playoffs. The Timberwolves, to me, uh, the, I don't know, man. The Timberwolves right now, listen, they got to do something with Andrew Wiggins. I'm getting tired of the Andrew Wiggins. Go ahead, Curtis.
Let me answer the Spurs. I think 7 or 8, they will sneak into the playoff. I love the Spurs pedigree. There's something about that organization. When you have organizations like the New England Patriots in football and then the San Antonio Spurs and basketball, it goes beyond skill and talent. It's something about the uniform. It's something about the organization, the system. They just seem to make the right moves. Popovich is an all-time great coach, so they will sneak in. And Kings and Timberwolves, I like the Kings. Wiggins has been a head case. You always seems like the NBA always has a player who has overwhelming talent, but psychologically could never turn the corner. So we call those players head cases. It's a shame because it's a mental thing. Wiggins can play. I've been watching him for a very long time, but he never like seems to turn the corner. Very inconsistent.
Hmm.
Plays like an all-star one night, and then plays like he's in the church league the next night. But Fox, I agree with Abel, will be a perennial all-star for years to come, and the Sacramento Kings are coming. They're not quite there yet, but 2 more years, you're gonna hear, they're gonna make a lot of noise.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. Now, I want to talk about the whole. Let me vent my frustration about Andrew Wiggins. He's like He's like before, like what Derek Coleman used to be. Okay, you remember how Derek Coleman was really a talented power forward that could have been a multi-time All Star MVP candidate, but the dude was a freaking head case that was just all that attitude and everything. Now, I never seen Andrew Wiggins have an attitude problem, but it's just like it's just some similar head case issue because Andrew Wiggins can be talented he could be an All Star, he could be anything. But it's just for some reason, ever since they gave the Hughes contract instead of the Jimmy Butler, it's just like I don't know. He just never been able to put it together. You know what I mean? And living here in Minnesota is another reason why we just can't trust the Timberwolves because even though they would find some diamonds in the rough, they always would find a way to ruin that diamond. You know what I'm saying? Marbury and Garnett, they were supposed to be a future tandem in the making, but then we gave that huge money to Garnett, and then Marbury wanted to be traded. We had Sprewell and Cassell with Garnett made it to one Western Conference Final back in '04. And then what happened after that? Sprewell decided to be stupid, thinking about that $21 million extension deal wasn't enough to feed his kids. And then after that, we had Kevin Love, who was posting up double doubles every night, but we wasted his years through him. I don't know, Curtis. It's just I just never been able to trust the Timberwolves, bro.
Yeah, that goes back to like I said, organizations. It's weird how you can play for a certain team. It's just that winning pedigree, experience, the know-how, and certain teams. I thought for years the Timberwolves. I said, "Oh man, look out for them. they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And something happens, it could be on the court, it could be an injury, it could be this player doesn't like how this player plays, and the chemistry is all wrong. They don't get along. I done heard so many things, about the Timberwolves, man. And it's a team that I always rooted for, and it never came to fruition. The Timberwolves having this great team, man. So it's a head scratcher to me. You live in Minnesota, so and where's that organization, man? It starts from the organization. When you look at the great teams, man, it's just something about the formula that they put forth. You have to get along. I mean, Chicago Bulls were the exception because Michael Jordan used to terrorize the team, but that's a different story. But I always rooted for the Timberwolves, especially with we used to call him Starberry, and he had to run to China because he didn't live up to expectations.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. Now, I want to get into the classic play. I want to get into the classic old school conversation since you're the OG and you've seen a lot of basketball in your time. So this week, I was able to rewatch the 1993 Eastern Conference Finals between the Chicago Bulls versus the New York Knicks. I think, to me, the series of the 90s. Two teams, all the hype, all the anticipation, the story background, Jordan versus Ewing, Jordan versus Starks, Oakley versus, versus Grant, Phil Jackson versus Pat Riley, all that conversation. And watching that series from start to finish, oh man, it was phenomenal basketball though. Let me ask you this though, Curtis. What was New York at the time during that whole '93 Eastern Conference Finals?
Oh man, oh my God, the Bulls versus the Knicks was like at that time was like the Yankees versus the Red Sox. And anybody who lives or know about the Yankees, they were a big deal here in New York. Every kid, black, white, and Latino, wants to play for the Yankees, and that's how it was with the Knicks and the Bulls. It was a holy war. Jordan had the Garden just on fire, man, and the Knicks was a rough and tough team, and it was all about are we going to beat the Bulls this year, and and that series right there, I can watch the whole series, you know, from start to finish. It was intense. It was great. It was an edge on your seat. You couldn't get a ticket at Madison Square Garden. You can get a ticket now. They might ask you to play, but the Knicks are so bad, But I hated the Knicks. My sister was a Knicks fan. My friends, I was Bulls fans only because of Jordan. So I used to root real hard. It was, man. It was. I'm telling you, Abel and chat. In the Daily News, you had the Knicks on, and the sports page was in the back, but you also had it front. And that's how big the story was. And I remember this cartoon character of Michael Jordan. I'll never forget it. He had he had this big old hand, and he had the Madison Square Garden arena spinning in the middle of his palm, meaning he owned New York. And I believe that was a series when Charles Smith got his shot blocked 2 or 3 times, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh man, I would never, that play right there will haunt the Knicks, and until they're put in their grave, because if he would have converted that basket, the culture of the Bulls and Knicks would have changed. See, in sports, one play could not only change the culture but the landscape. Because they would have beat the Bulls, but that was their best chance, and it was just an unbelievable, highly, level of basketball, intense. Jordan. Well, the Knicks take down the mighty Jordan, and they didn't do it. It was great.
Oh yeah. Let me ask you this though too. There was also controversy in the series too, particularly with surrounding Jordan, because remember after the Bulls lost the first two games. In the days off in between games 1 and 2, he had the infamous trip to Atlantic City where he gambled at a casino there for late hours of the night, and the media just went in hard on Jordan unnecessarily. And then a couple of days later, and this is a really controversial part, I actually rewatched the interview with you know that guy Richard Esquinas, the infamous author writer who wrote the stupid book that really was about the gambling thing. It was
Yeah.
actually it was actually broadcasted through NBC during the halftime show of the Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. And looking back on that interview, is like, why did the media gave so much attention to a guy that it was like basically a publicity seeker who's trying to profit off of Jordan's name? So, hey, maybe you want to, could you explain to me what was the feel like, during that whole controversy surrounding Jordan during that whole series?
Yeah, they made a big stink out of nothing. You know, the media is like this. They will build you up so they can tear you down.
Hmm.
And that's the skinny of it. It was much to do about nothing. They always try to find dirt on Jordan, and people don't realize that they try so hard to bring Michael Jordan down. Just like they did Tiger Woods. So it was nothing new. We all knew what was going on. I didn't know the writer by name, but I remember. I mean, they was coming at him in all directions. Here's a guy that was playing for Chicago, but it was news in New York, because of the Jersey Atlantic City. They was calling him a degenerate gambler and he shouldn't do that. Basically, they was trying to control his life, and Jordan never played into that. I remember he said, "Hey, I play basketball. I have a right to live my life." But the media was unrelenting, because they just because they just tried to find anything on Michael Jordan. It was disgusting. It really was, because we knew what they was trying to do. The man can gamble. If uh, 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 some certain player, well, certain teams, are stricter than others. They have what you call a curfew, but
Hmm.
you can't tell a grown man what to do, man. That's crossing the line.
Agreed. And particularly so, Michael makes about, back then he made millions. Now he makes billions. So he could do whatever he wants. And who's gonna tell him no? And I never bought, and here's the one thing that I really never bought into was that the whole reason why he retired. They all said that it was some sort of, you know, hidden suspension and everything. I never bought into that. I've always believed it was BS, because the thing is though that the dude was actually, he lost his father, and then also he basically played a lot of games through the Barcelona games. He never really had an opportunity to just like, hit the reset button. So I feel that he retired because he was just mentally exhausted, and he was lost because he lost his dad. Wouldn't you agree with that, Curtis?
Absolutely, that was a big part of it. And sometimes, you can burn out. You can burn out mentally. He lost hunger. I remember him saying that, and that's why he came back. The hunger came back. But what you said was a major reason, one of the reasons why he retired. And I truly believe if we'd have stayed, that they would have had 8. Because the Rockets wasn't beating the Bulls. I had the Bulls winning, both years. As a matter of fact, they almost went to the finals if it wasn't for that, that bogus call on Scottie Pippen. They was going back to the
Uh,
finals. That was bogus. I remember jumping up and down, man. But
mm,
Jordan would have beat the Rockets. And I'm gonna tell you something about Michael Jordan. Since we talk about that era, people underestimate this guy tenacity, man. I mean, he wanted to beat you. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he went to 6 NBA finals and never played a game 7. He never played a game 7. So, let that sink in.
hmm He only had 3 Game 7s in his career. You check that. You check that out, Chad. So the other, and another thing, I still hate Hugh Hollins. Even listen, I understand that Hugh Hollins is dead. God rest his soul. But still, fuck Hugh Hollins for the rest of his life. That was pure garbage, bro. Oh my God, bro. Like actually rewatched the game from start to finish. I literally wanted to throw up. Like how do you call a foul when the shot's already in the air and there was essentially no contact with before the shot attempt? Oh my God, it was disgusting. Oh, I don't know. I got PS. How like when Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas, said there's just been a lot of Tyson fans that had PTSD over that stuff. That's my own PTSD moment for me.
Yeah, man. I hate. I know the refs and umpires are human, but when you decide the serious because of a bad call, man, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, man. I mean, you have to be on point. I know we're human, we make mistakes. It's just bad when a call that was blatant and wrong, has can change the outlook of a series and the NBA, the landscape of the NBA.
Agreed. So let me ask you this question though too. Would you rank that 93 Eastern Conference Finals top 10, top 5 series of all time? I've always viewed the 81 Conference Finals as the all-time greatest playoff series.
That's I have it in my top 10, 93. There's been so many great series, man. The 80s between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, people forget, man. Those series was great, man.
And don't forget the Celtics between Bird and Bird versus Dr. J, especially when the Celtics came back from that 3-1 deficit to beat the Sixers.
Absolutely. Atlanta and Boston, when they had the game where Dominique and Bird was going tit for tat.
Mm-hmm.
It's so many series, man. Houston and Phoenix in the mid '90s, was great series, and Mario Ellie hit that corner jumper. It's been it's been so many. I have it in my top 10 because of the intensity. It was, can we finally knock off Jordan?
Exactly. And also that same 95 playoffs is when Ewing had that missed layup. And let me ask you this about that missed layup against Indiana. What was the city in New York like when that moment happened, when Ewing missed the layup? Now, he tried to dunk it, but he had the bad leg injury and he couldn't explode to dunk. So what was New York like after that missed layup?
When he missed that layup, man, people started to question Ewing. Can he get it done? Can he do it in a big spot? It's starting to hang over his head. When he missed the layup, not only the air went out the basketball that he had, but it went out the city of New York because, they were so close. And once again, something happened at the end of the game or near the end of the game where a play was supposed to have been executed and finished, and he didn't finish. Just like he missed some free throws against Indiana. He missed the layup, man. It really took the air out of New York City.
And I still smile. Here's the thing about that 95 series against Indiana. That was great basketball, but I always felt that Ewing got unfair criticism because he had battled through so many leg injuries, and if it wasn't for his performances in games 5 through 6, there would not have been no game 7. So I felt like Ewing just had bad breaks in the NBA, and you just need lucky breaks. And unfortunately, it never happened to him.
Well, I'm gonna say this to this day. He doesn't say nothing, but he has a bitter pill about the New York fans, man, because he never got the respect that he deserves. I mean, he got ovations and everything, but he is, Terry Bradshaw for the Steelers. It took them years to, just because you play for a team, that doesn't mean you're going to be respected by the fans or the organization. It took Bradshaw many years to embrace the Pittsburgh Steelers, Joe Namath and the Jets, and that's sort of like Patrick Ewing. He used to get called names. Gorilla and all that, and that was ever since at Georgetown. So he always been quiet around people because he never really trusted anybody, anyone, and rightfully so because he knew in New York can be vicious, man. Mike Lupica, who was an NBA writer, was always critical of Patrick Ewing. The New York sports media is so powerful that it can really tear you apart, man. If you notice, switching to baseball, a lot of players don't like to come to the Yankees because you know playoff we call Yankee Stadium the tension convention because of the intensity. And here, if you don't win the championship, you had a failed season. And just like New York hasn't won since '73, so you can imagine what they're going through. And right today, it's become sad, man, how that organization has fallen on hard times, man. The Garden used to be the place to be. All the celebrities, man. Chris Rock and I can so on used to be there, but now, man, it's like a mortuary.
Yep. Where everybody's singing their last rites. And I don't know how long Spike Lee can continue to sit in the same seats in Madison Square Garden. I mean, uh, like, I don't know how much Spike Lee can take anymore.
Well, he's a true fan. He's annoying, but he's a true fan. But it just has to be tough when you root your whole life, man. You see the organization in the dumps, man. I mean, they're not even close to. They don't have a clue on winning. So, I'm glad I'm not a Knicks fan. Put it like that. I never took to the Knicks. I never did. Never did.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So Don Dada says the Knicks and Heat's rivalry was a war back then. Oh, I love that rivalry. I always will say that '97 series, if PJ Brown never flipped Charlie Ward, we would have had a rematch of '93. And I was still favor the Bulls in 6 again, but I think it would have been a much more competitive series than I would say '93. No one could beat '93. But you know what? I hate PJ Brown for what he did to Charlie Ward. That ruined that for me. And I'm glad the Knicks beat him 3 straight times those years.
I remember that series, man. A great rivalry between the Miami Heat and New York Knicks. The year that the Allen Houston made the shot, and what he did to Ward. The Knicks made a lot of playoff series intense because that bully mentality. And they try to take on that bad boy persona that the Pistons was so successful with. And with Anthony Mason and Oakley and Ewing and the rest of the playoff, the Knicks, but they can never get past the Bulls in '93. Like I said, Charles Smith couldn't, get that layup to go through. It was blocked 2 or 3 times, and that just changed everything right there because you had to say to yourself, do the Knicks really believe they can beat the Bulls after that?
Let me ask you this though, Curtis. Though, when that play happened in '93, what was the media like in New York? What was the atmosphere at the Garden like? Because I remember the Knicks walked off the court just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, it was a body blow, man. It was not only a physical body blow, but a psychological body blow because they played so well, and they couldn't understand when you play so well and you come up in a losing end. You say to yourself, well, "What's going on? What happened? Why we can't get past this team?" It becomes psychological, because you have nothing to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to be Jordan so bad. They wanted to be the ones that beat him. And that year they was up 2-0. They could have really put a nail in the Bulls' coffin, and they let it slip away. They let it slip away. So it becomes psychological and mental, well as physical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Definitely agreed. Now, let me ask you this though, too, Curtis. What was your favorite NBA moment of all time?
Whew. Oh, there's so many. I would have to say, well, that's a tough one. I would have to say when Magic one, and I'm not going to name one. There's several. I'm gonna start with Magic Johnson hook shot. You know, and what was that game 6 or 7 against the Celtics, man? When
No,
he drove
that was game 4 of that 87
game
series.
4. Okay, my fault. Game 4 when he drove and he converted the hook shot because people forget they set up a play for Bird and he busted to the corner, meaning he hustled to the corner. And when the ball left his hands, I thought that ball was in.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was in. You know, when it left his hand and it just bounced off the rim. And
Oh,
I was like, wow, what a game. That was one of my favorite moments because I was rooting hard for the Lakers, you know, and I wasn't a Laker fan, but I hated Boston. But and another one was Jordan when he made the shot over Russell, even though he pushed him, you know, against
nah,
Utah.
nah. He
You know,
never, he never pushed them, bro. It was a clean crossover. I'm not gonna.
when, when he made the shot over Russell. Another one when that one of the best games I ever seen, a 4 overtime game, Phoenix at Chicago when they beat the Bulls, man. Oh man, when that high scoring 4 overtime game versus the Phoenix Suns. You
Oh,
know,
mm-hmm,
that was a great game, man.
mm-hmm.
The Garher shot Phoenix and Boston in the 76. That was a great series. That was the Van Ardell twins, and that was a great series. So it's been many. It's been so many.
Mm-hmm.
The 76ers beating the Lakers in 1983 and Julius Erving getting the ring. That right there touched my heart because Julius was well liked. He was just a nice guy. People forget. Let me say this, people forget that before Jordan, there was Julius Erving. He was a guy very flamboyant. You know, my sister had a major crush on Julius Erving. A lot of girls did. You know, they loved Julius Erving. They had the big poster in their room. That's when NBA posters was like every kid had one. You know, and the sneakers that he had, we call leather Converse's Docs after Julius Erving. He just had that swagger, the afro, the sneakers, him gliding through the air, man. He was just a joy to watch, you know, and people forget how big he was. He had a movie called The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. I love that movie. I loved it. You know, did you ever see that movie, Abel?
Which movie was it?
The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh with Julius Erving.
I don't think I've seen that one. No, I have not.
Please watch that movie. He's the star.
Okay.
You know, he's the star. It's about a fictionist team called the Pittsburgh Pythons, and I ain't gonna tell you about the movie, but it's really entertaining. You
Okay.
know, and we all went to the movies, the whole block. That's when the neighborhood was the neighborhood, and you know we rooted for Irvin like it was a real game. You know, so you know, just a shout out to Julius Irvin, man, very classy individual. You know, and you know, it's the NBA is a great league, man. It generated $7.4 billion, you know, in half a year, and it's just a winning formula. It's very entertaining, you know, and you don't have, you know, mega stars, man. So, and when LeBron James' career finished, I hope he gets the credit he deserves because LeBron James, man, been a star ever since high school. His high school games used to sell out. They used to be shown on ESPN. They was ranked number 1 in the country, you know, and you know this man deserves everything. He's in the community, you know. He sticks up. That's what he got over Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, as big as he is now, Abel and chat, he could have been even bigger if he would have made himself accessible. Because I had
Right.
a friend named Keith Gatlin who played in the NBA, and he said Michael Jordan, you know, is hard to get along with. He don't want to be bothered by nobody, anybody. He's a moron, you know. And I'm a Jordan fan, but you
Mm-hmm.
know he doesn't give autographs. You can't walk up to him. You know, you can't do anything, and it's sad. it's sad that he's like that because Magic Johnson and LeBron James is the total opposite of what he is. Shaquille O'Neal is a nice guy. He has a nice movie theater in Newark on Springfield Avenue that he co-owns, man. So, it's sad because as big as Jordan is now, he could even bigger. And, Muhammad Ali wasn't like that. Muhammad Ali didn't have bodyguards. He was in the hood everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
he once famously said, I can go to anybody's house and eat. I thought that was hilarious. So, but nonetheless, we're all Michael Jordan fans.
I agree with you on Michael Jordan. I felt like Michael Jordan could have done so much more than what he was as a basketball player, particularly when it comes to black issues as well. He could have used his platform even more. You know what I mean? He's doing it a little bit more these days, but he could have done it more in his prime. So that's the big drop off in the comparison to LeBron James, because LeBron's done a lot more, in the black community than Michael ever did in his entire career. That's a big difference. Now, let me go back into the playoff moments for me. My number one favorite moment is obviously the Jordan, crossover with Brian Russell. He did not push him off. Let's end that discussion now. Now, number two for me would go for the 88 finals, game 6, when Isaiah Thomas scored 25 points in the third quarter with that sprained ankle. Like, people don't give Isaiah enough credit for the heart, the will, and determination he came out every single night he played. And he had a bad ankle that looked like that was swollen up completely. But he gutted out. He played through it and nearly led the Pistons to that title if it wasn't for that bogus call on Bill Laimbeer against Kareem. Oh, it was terrible. Because I felt like it should have been a great ending to a journey for Isaiah, leading his team to a championship with a bad ankle. Can you imagine the kind of ending that would have been? Oh my goodness, bro!
Yeah, I believe he had 43 points that game, right?
43 points in that game, but he had 25 in the third
Yep,
quarter. He
I
just
remember that.
I mean, he just took. There was one shot. There's two shots I remember when he was guarded against Michael Cooper. Like he went baseline left side, and then he did a leaning fall away jump shot where he hit it off the glass and nearly landed into the first row at ringside, still hopping on that ankle. And then the last shot where he backed down Michael Cooper for that final shot in that quarter, he did a fall away jumper with Michael Cooper all over his face, right down the net. And then just watching Bill Laimbeer saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe he just made that." Because Isaiah was hitting everything that night, and they just fell short of that championship. Oh man, that killed me.
Yeah, I probably my most famous moment. I would thought about it when you was talking was the 3-point barrage by Jordan against Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Who
That
game is it?
that was magic who said that.
Yeah, right. And
Man.
Jordan shrugging because when he shrugged, people don't understand why he did it. It wasn't him, it was the moment. And
Mm-hmm.
no matter how great you are, sometimes when you do things that's like that almost superhuman, it's just a moment. So to me, it was probably the Michael Jordan 3-point barrage against the Portland Trailblazers. Portland had a really good team, very athletic, one of the most athletic teams you would come across in the finals with Jerome, Kersey, and Duckworth and Drexler. And what's the other ball-headed guard?
Terry Porter.
Terry Porter, right? They can shoot the ball, man, and that wasn't an easy series for
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, man. I mean, even though it went 6 games, they came from 17 down, and they had pulled one of them games out, and even the Phoenix teams too, because those teams were high powered with Marley and Barkley and Dunn. It wasn't easy, man. But Chicago, they had this second and third gear, and they had this intangible. They always remember something. Chicago always had a time in the game and 5 minutes where they took the game over. If they
Right.
was ahead or if they was behind, they always had a 5 minute interval where they would shut you down and they would execute. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of the best executed teams in any sports that I've ever seen in my life, man. I
Hmm.
mean, they team defense, and when you look at that team, man, you'd be like, how did they win with the Australian dude and and how did they win with them sinners? But they got it done. They were smart, very smart team.
Hmm. Definitely agreed, though, Curtis. Especially that '93 Finals Game 6. Now, I remember that John Paxson, that game winner, like it was yesterday. Because what happened on that play was Jordan was the inbound passer, and he got the inbound pass back, and then he dribbled the ball almost towards the middle of the floor, and he gave it back to Scottie Pippen. Now, where Barkley messed up in this case, he tried to go for the steal instead of just playing back and just allowing Pippen to come to him and then shut off that penetration. But because Barkley went for that steal, he basically allowed Pippen to drive the ball to the basket, and then that forced the Phoenix defense to collapse. Then he
Yeah,
gave the ball,
exactly.
and then he gave the ball to Horace Grant. He could have tied the ball game, but he saw that John Paxson was open at the corner. He passed up his own shot to tie the game and got a better shot out of it. And then John Paxson drilled the three wide open, nobody in sight. And I remember Dan Marley underneath the basket just putting his hands down like, God damn it, we
Yeah,
gave up a wide open 3-pointer with nobody in front of him. Like, you want, because I believe that if Barkley stayed back, that whole Phoenix alignment, they could have contained that 3-point shot. But Barkley made that mistake. That one mistake. He tried to go for the steal, forced the defense to the collapse, and then John Paxson was sitting wide open, nobody in sight.
I remember that like it was yesterday, and that's how it went. Absolutely. It kind of went like that when in '91, where he Paxson was had the hot hand. He won one of those games. He hit like three or four jumpers from in the top of the key, the same play. They kicked the ball to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he hit a jumper, and that was against the Lakers in '91. So the Chicago, they always found the right shot, the right man at the right time. It wasn't always Jordan. Jordan was the decoy sometimes, and that's why I love the Bulls, man. Well balanced team, man. Of course, Jordan was the heart and soul, and Pippen was comfortable with Jordan, on the court, because he was a different player with him off the court. But, I enjoy the Bulls run, man. I really did.
Yep. A Bulls run that will never be duplicated for a long time. So we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping this up, though, brother. So I'm gonna make you official, one of my co-hosts for every Friday night for basketball conversations, and for everybody in the chat though too. Feel free to have any questions that you have for me and Curtis Anderson too. We'll discuss. We'll answer any of your questions about history, stats, and even all the other stuff and relating to any news around the NBA. But before I go though, too, Curtis, so let me ask you your reflection about the whole DeMarcus Cousins situation. I went in a little bit in detail way earlier in the live stream, but what's your reaction to the whole DeMarcus Cousins situation?
It just seems like, man, when you're given so much by the grace of God, and you find ways to always get in trouble. Ain't this funny with certain guys, when they get hurt, is certain guys that's usually a moron
Right.
on the court or off the court. Bad things happen to them, like a dark cloud follows that not only on the basketball court but in life. He say he's going to shoot his baby's mother or something like that. It's just I was never really a DeMarcus Cousins fan, man, because he just been the jerk the whole time, man, just like Antonio Brown. And I'm a diehard Steelers fan, but I'm glad we got rid of him. Certain guys is just like that, man. You can never teach them. The people will show you who they are. I wish bad on nobody because he done made millions of dollars. He's an all-star, but I don't know where he's at. With the injuries, and I don't know, it was a police warrant issue for his arrest. So, that's all I heard about it so far. Maybe you know more than me, but I always looked at guys like that as troublemakers, man. And all you have to do is just play the game, hone your craft, and shut the hell up. but you'll be amazed how a lot of people can't do that.
Right. Definitely agree, Curtis. Definitely agree with you, my man. So I'm gonna go ahead and start closing this out. So to my co-host, my new co-host now officially. What do you? Any last words before you call it a night?
Yeah, thanks, chat man, for spending time with us, and we're grateful. I'm well rounded. I could talk about anything, not only boxing, but I love the NBA. Been watching ever since I was a kid.
Mhm.
Football and baseball, even soccer and hockey. I can go on and on. But it's great. Abel is a basketball guy to the fullest from A to Z, man. So you'll be seeing me on the show. But Abel, when you close down the show, I want you to call me immediately after the show.
Yes, sir. I will most certainly will do that. So, and also for everybody in the chat, you guys can check out Curtis Anderson through the World Breaker Fighting channel though too, where they talk about boxing, other stuff like movies, entertainment, and everything else. So go ahead and visit the World Breaker Fighting channel where you can find Curtis Anderson, and that's where you find all the best conversations out there. So this is Abil Mahari from the podcast there. Have a good night. Salute to the entire LDBC, and we out.
Peace.